Hey everyone, Alex back here on the P1 Dogs YouTube channel for another lap guide. Not too long ago we already made a Sebring lap guide as week 2 of the IMSA schedule here for 26 season 1 was Sebring, but Sebring 12 hours is now coming up fast. I'm gonna walk you through the lap pretty quickly as well. Just again try and tell you some braking points, maybe fuel saving points, some traffic stuff, and a lot of stuff that could be good to note for the 12 hour. So for those of you who want to see the hot lap, I've done a 45-1 here in the Ferrari, which is looking pretty solid now before Bob, so we won't know after, but obviously a really stable car. And yeah, but for those who wants to see that, just go to the end of the video where I will put the lap. And other than that, let's move into the guide here. So gonna play the lap here, coming down the start-finish straight, coming into turn 1. Now this is a corner which is obviously very difficult. You've got a blind entry, but corners like this are really good to fuel save and roll into. So during the 12 hour, personally, if there's need of fuel saving, or just saving front tires, which is also really good in those corners, you won't lose that much in a corner like this, lifting off the throttle pretty early. Now this is a hot lap, so I won't be doing it here, but just noting it's a very good corner to fuel saving. And another thing to note is I would try to avoid going around the outside of GT3s here, because they could just come into you and cross over and spin you out, or the other way around, whatever. So unless you really have to, I would try to set the corner up and go underneath them on the outside. But anyway, coming into the hot lap, then you're gonna brake right before they bend in this wall. Now this is pretty cool temps, 22, 22. The wind could obviously change stuff like this, but on a quali dock you wanna, you know, this is race setup, but on a quali dock you wanna like brake right before that bend in the wall there and really push into the corner. On the race setup you have to be a bit more calm and really preserve the front tires, so lifting off here could be really good. Turning in, holding the brake all the way in, very low peak pressure. Now there's not much to aim for here really. You usually just have to go in quite a lot tighter than you think, a bit earlier. Get really close to the wall and super early on the throttle, getting some nice rotation out of the setup there. Now putting like your right wheel on the curb here, that's like all the usage you want to have. Like out here you're gonna lose time on the gravel, so try and avoid that. Coming into turn 2, obviously trying to open up a bit, coming away from the white line here, really opening up, trying to straighten out the braking into turn 2. And we're gonna brake right before those 3 cones. This is another golden corner for fuel saving in the 12 hour itself. I think even on a hot lap I'm lifting off a little bit, but in a race you can lift off here like every lap. You just roll in because you have this small twist right before the braking, so you want to like kind of settle the car a bit more, being smooth into here, and you won't really lose anything with fuel saving into this corner. So yeah, good to note that. Another type of corner where you want to avoid the inside curb at all costs, because it's gonna make you bounce a lot. But on the same time, like, you need to get in pretty tight here because there's a lot more grip on the inside here. You can't take a late apex out of here, even though you have like the rubber out there. It's just so much grip in here, and it's also a tighter line. So get in early, absolutely smash this curb. Now get to full throttle before, and then when you get up on it with your right tires, almost the middle on the curb, but not more, you lift off, but not fully, but lift off, and then back on the throttle and immediately try and turn into this corner. Now this corner is really difficult. If you turn too late here, especially in the GTP, you're just gonna wash out. So this is kind of the same like turn 1, where you have to turn a bit earlier than you think many times, because once you come here, there's just a random wash of understeer every time. So yeah, try and go as tight as you can here, over here. But obviously, again, you have to avoid the curb because your exit is screwed by like 6 to 8 hundredths if you touch that curb. Now the good thing is, if you go a bit tighter in here, this wasn't perfect, but you can see that I'm kind of tied in. Thing is, you generate understeer. When you come here, your front tires start to lose grip, and this is a really traction dependent corner. So when your front tires overheat here, you'll be able to get on the throttle way earlier. Now this is also a corner where I really would not or disadvised, whatever you want to call it, not going in traffic trying to make moves here. If you're trying to pull away from someone from behind, sure, making a risky move, getting in on the inside could work, but most of the time you're gonna gain more time by waiting and then trying to overtake a GT3 on the straight here. So coming into the hairpin now, this is probably the most difficult corner on cold tires, especially. So on cold tires, on outlaps, you always want to try and brake a bit earlier here. Maybe even put the brake bias a bit more rearwards. Obviously, go softer on the rear ARB here as well. Now, you have to be on a P1 dock for it to work exactly like it works for me. But I would generally advise to go down on the rear ARB here, as you need a lot of traction out of that corner. While in sector 1, you know, I think I'm 1.5 through the whole sector 1. So, so go, you know, on cold tires, rearwards on the brake bias, and the ARB softer on the rear. Now, this is another corner where this is probably the main corner on the track, or it's Le Mans chicanes, where you're making moves on another GTP is the best. You have a lot of braking power going in the inside here, and you have a shorter way. So, yeah, I would really advise going for moves into this corner and stuff like that. So, and then in the race, another thing to notice, usually lifting on this big board for a tiny bit of fuel saving without losing that much, maybe 200s, it's pretty good. Now this is a hot lap once again, so it's gonna be braking right on this black outer color, black color in the surface. So up really high on the pressure. It's a bit of a sketchy corner. It's easy to lock the tires even in the Ferrari, so don't brake too hard, but obviously stay on peak pressure for a long time into here, and then try and get a pretty late apex, touch the curb slightly too much up in here, as it's 3D curbs now. You're gonna lose a bit too much time, so try and avoid that. Out here, left wheels on the sand. I think the track limit is the either is the middle of the car on the sand or the right tires inside the yellow line. I don't really know, but all you have to do is put the left tires in the grass really, because car is just more stable. You get a wider line and you won't spin the rear tires out that much. Flat out here, get closer to curbs, down into the tower section. This corner is also very difficult. It's very easy to wash out for some reason in this corner. You can't brake as much either as into the hairpin. Be a bit more cautious with the brake. And we're gonna hit the brakes right before these 4 cones. Try and take a really late apex here and get really close to the curb. And the important thing is, like the phase right here, the braking phase here, you need to hold it all the way in. Now this is also another corner where, because it's so easy to wash out in the middle when you push hard in the race, sometimes it's better to just lift off, because when you lift off you preserve the heat in the front tires and you're way less likely to have a mistake. So yeah, it is faster to push, but you're gonna be super consistent on corners like this when you lift off a bit earlier. Now, I don't really have a marking. Maybe you can use the curb for a lift off and roll a bit coast. But yeah, would strongly advise to lift into this corner as well in the race trim. Obviously pretty wide out, up on this curb, small lift on the throttle. You can see I'm struggling with the rear here, but try and really feel what the rear is doing. If you feel it tapping out like this, you have to try and open the wheel and really go wider, wider, wider. Because carrying speed is, at the end of the day, the most important thing into that corner. Once again, you can honestly lift in the race here as well to fuel save, because again, you're turning right before braking. So you are super likely in a race when you're pushing every single lap to, you know, lock a tire or go wide. And losing 2/10 on a mistake and losing 200s every lap fuel saving, you know, it's better to use fuel save every time then, because overall on a stint, your tires will be better and you will be more consistent if you master it. So definitely would advise fuel saving into this corner as well. This could also be a pretty good overtaking point. It's not super good, but you need a really good run, and then you can, like, because you can't really hold the outside here. There's so much more grip on the inside. So, but yeah, opening up the corner all the way out to the curb. Get super close. As I said, there's a lot of grip in here. Again, though, that curb is dangerous to touch. You will wash out a lot. And then this one is tricky. It's very inviting to try and take all of it, or even a bit of the sound, but you can't really take more than this, because I don't know, it's just the vibrations from the 3D curve that destroys the acceleration. So try and avoid that. Coming into another another corner where it's OP to fuel save. We have all of them at Sebring. But as you can see, we're once again turning right before the braking and then entering a pretty medium speed or high speed corner. So lifting off somewhere around here on the race is something I would do. On a hot lap though, we're gonna brake at the end of this curb right there. And here it's very important you're not too high percentage on the trail braking. It's super easy to lock here, and if you lock here, your lap will be destroyed. So be maybe a bit earlier on the brake if you struggle to hit the apex here, because when you wash out here, this corner is destroyed, that corner is destroyed, and maybe even the final one could be destroyed if you're not slowed down enough. But we're talking 3-4 tenths easily gone. But yeah, get too close to that curb. Now this is a tricky one. In the Porsche, you can put the left tires down here and keep the right tires on the curb and really open up insanely much. You cannot do this in the Acura, Ferrari, BMW. You can't do that in any of those cars because it just bottoms out and it's very unstable. So in the Ferrari here, you can see me just dipping the left tire slightly inside, or trying to. Yeah, right there, front left. Just to get that slight bit of rotation, because if I get the rotation on the curb, I can carry more speed in, and then the curb rotates me. You need to be very cautious into this one as well. Very low peak braking and really aiming for the exit here. And this corner is so wind dependent. And I will tell you why. That's because you have generated a lot of heat in the tires from this corner. And then immediately you get into this one, where you generate even more heat in the front tires. Getting into the final one, the front is gonna bite way less than it did in the past two, because they're way hotter. And if the wind, like in the race it's dynamic, it can change a lot lap to lap. So it's very important to be cautious of the wind in this corner, because if it's like in this session pushing from the right, you will have insane amounts of understeer in this corner, and there's not really anything you can do about it. You can increase the ARB in the rear slightly, but it's also dangerous for the other corners. 220 on the entry. But yeah, try and get close to the curve there. Very, like I said earlier on the throttle, good exit. Use all of the curve. There's two ways to take this curve. You know, a little bit and avoid the 3D, or use all of it and go quicker out. And for me, it's more consistent to just go quicker out, all of it. One corner left on the track. This is probably the best corner to absolutely set GT3s. You can get a lot of time in traffic here just by going in, taking a super short line in, because all the GT3s open up insanely much here and go for the exit. So definitely would advise trying to really send it in this corner if you want to gain time in traffic. You will clear them anyway by the apex most of the time. So, but yeah, also another corner where fuel saving is good. Lift off in the race on these four if you want to fuel save without losing that much. But on a push lap, you're going to brake on the two cones here. Apply pressure pretty slowly as you're turning while braking. Opening up quite a lot, but also, you know, like I'm opening up in the beginning, but still trying, if we go to the cockpit, to aim pretty tight. Really get in there. In the past, you could get all the way to this wall. I think you even can in LMP2, for example, still. But yeah, you want to try and avoid that now. Now it's better to get early on the throttle, overheat the fronts a bit. And when the fronts overheat, that turns into understeer, obviously, and the balance is better, more traction, basically. So it's an iRacing thing, but yeah, that's the technique I use for that corner. Obviously using all of the exit out on the wall. And that is a lap of Sebring International Speedway. Hope this helped. I hope gave some good fuel saving and traffic advice as well. Haven't really done that in any previous lap guides, but without further ado, let's get into the hot lap so you can see yourself the entire lap with inputs as well. And make sure to leave a sub, like, and I will see you in the next lap guide.